friends, welcome to the Purpose Beyond Motherhood podcast. Together, we are using our voices to walk alongside women navigating infertility and motherhood. I'm Holly, and I'm so happy you're tuning in today.
Hey friends, and I'm Nicole. Let me tell you a little bit about 1212 Ministries and why this podcast exists. 1212 Ministries creates a safe space for emotional restoration, physical healing, and spiritual discipleship for women who have or are experiencing infertility. We want to share hope in the hard things and encourage you to be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer.
Our heart behind this podcast is to make sure that no woman walks this journey alone.
Welcome to the Purpose Beyond Motherhood podcast.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Purpose Beyond Motherhood podcast. My name is Holly, and I'm here with some friends.
Oh, there she I was so eager. to tell you that I was here.
You were trying to help
Holly.
me. I'm here with my co-host, Nicole. Say hi, Nicole.
Hi, friends.
We are so excited that you're joining us today. We have an awesome special guest named Heather, and I am not going to try to intro her. I was going to let her introduce herself to you. So, Heather, will you just tell everybody all the things about yourself that they need to know?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Heather LaVigne. I am a lot of things. I am a mom. I am an author. I was a nurse practitioner. I still am. I am an expert Petoskey stone collector. Anybody from Michigan knows what a Petoskey stone is. This is my hidden skill that I have that I use when we're camping. But yeah, I wrote a book. It's called Barren. And I'm excited to talk with you guys about it today.
Thanks, Heather. We're so glad that you're here. Okay, I need to know about what you just said.
Yes.
What was it called?
Yeah.
I was like, what is that?
All right.
Tell
Okay,
me.
so there's these stones. You Google it. They are like archaic little stones. They have like little spots on them. They're very cool looking. And they're like fossil rocks, and you can only find them like really on the coasts of northern Michigan. And so you'll go there's all sorts of like, I think they call them like rock hunters. They're everywhere, like looking for these type of stones. And I think there's just something in my brain that like I can like photographically see what that looks like, and I can find it. So my kids will be like, "Oh, Mom, go in the water and go find me a Petoskey stone." And I walk out there, I'm like, "Here it is." Well, there's like all kinds of, people just combing the shores looking. I don't know what it is. It's the strangest thing.
That is so cool.
I know.
Yeah. But we have like a ton of Petoskey stones like around our house and in our garage, because that's kind of what my kids love to do when we're camping. And we usually go northern Michigan when we go camping. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, good.
I
What
wish
did she
I
say?
was cool enough to go camping, but I'm just not. I need to get more brave.
Well, it's like we do it in an RV. It's glamping. It's
Okay.
not in a
I
tent,
could do
like roughing it. No.
that. Okay. That makes me feel better.
Okay, you guys, let me give you a little bit of a context. Yeah. But a little, just how we met Heather is just that I think it was Angela Mackey connected us. So shout out to Angela. And then it just so happened because the Lord is so cool like this. Heather she was already planning on being in Dallas when we were having our October Refined. So she just ended up being able to come and attend. We got a chance to have lunch, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this lady is amazing. Her heart is just like so precious. And then just the things that you have been through to, just to be able to persevere and then just allow that season, for the Lord to birth this new book. So Heather, I would really love to just like start with you, just like sharing, as much or as little as you'd like to, just about your story, because I know so many of our listeners are going to be able to relate to the things that you've walked through.
Yeah, absolutely. So my story's a little long, so I'll do my best to keep it as on the shorter end as best as I can, but still give you kind of the greater brushes, the greater strokes that Lord really painted in my life. So we started out like most couples do. We got married. I was in my like mid to late 20s, and my husband was in his early 30s, and we were really career focused. So we were just focusing on our careers. I was finishing up a grad degree. I was a nurse practitioner, and we, had stopped using any sort of birth control and really didn't think about it. And after about a year passed, we're like, something's not right. We're both young. We're both supposedly healthy. And so that started that journey towards trying to figure out what was going on. And so started with a a general practitioner that I saw. They were like, "Oh yeah, you'll be fine. You're probably gonna get pregnant, but if you need it, the drugs are available too. You can start you on low level Clomid." And did an HSG, which came out very normal. And then the journey just kind of continued. Nothing was working. Low levels treatments weren't working. And so we got referred over to a reproductive endocrinologist, the local experts in the area. And of course, they offered us everything. You can do any of these treatments. And so we tried to start on the low end because we were just like, this just seems like this a lot to do for somebody when it's unexplained infertility. So we traveled that for several years, and we got to some points in our journey where we just were like, you know what, we gotta stop. This is becoming too much. It's feeling too heavy. There's a lot of ethical decisions that need to be made here that we just can't feel like we feel like we have the Lord's hand on. And so we did. We stopped treatments and we sought out adoption because we were like, all right, maybe this is where the Lord is leading. I had done some work in Haiti back a few years before, and we met with some local groups, counselors, adoption counselors, and ironically, and maybe the Lord actually Haiti was closed by the Hagues, the adoption convention at that time. So we like really started out being like, well, we would adopt maybe a Haitian. That makes sense with our journey. And that was not happening. And so we met with some counselors about possibly adopting domestically. And we got in the weeds really of where they wanted us to say we were not going to pursue fertility treatments. They said, we want you to have a solid conclusion on how you're going to become parents, which that like broke me because I was like, I too would like a solid conclusion on how I'm going to become a parent.
Right.
But we found another lawyer. We left that group, found another lawyer who was like, you know what? I understand your journey. It was also hers. And she said, I will support you. If you choose to go back to fertility treatment, I'll support that. So we signed with that lawyer. We wrote a check which is necessary with anything of producing a child when you're infertile. And that same night, I passed out in pain in my closet. I was making my way to the bathroom and passed out. And so something that like really didn't occur to me is that pain was just a normal part of my life, abdominal pain, pelvic pain. And that was kind of something that was like preached to me from my mom. All your aunts and everybody, cousins have had this, they have pain. It's just how we are. And it was like the light went on. And I'm like, there is something wrong with me because being a nurse practitioner through this whole workup, I'm like, something is not right and we are missing it. I had a high level of paranoia about this, even through all the workup. And then the light bulb was on and I was like, something's wrong with me. I know it is. And so we quickly got referred to a surgeon who performed a surgery within 3 days. 3 days later after seeing him, I had exploratory laparotomy. And they found widespread endometriosis. It was everywhere. It was all over all of my reproductive organs and bladder, bowel, everything. And it was supposed to be an hour-long surgery just for them to like quick lift and come out. And it was a 4-hour surgery because he attempted to just get as much out as he could.
Wow.
And so I woke up to my panicked husband who had no idea what was happening because they didn't really tell him that it was not going well. And he thankfully had already talked to the doctor and he was like, you've got endometriosis. This is what he thought. And it's really bad. And so I just kind of like sat with him like, well, now what? And so that night he called me, and he said, I think you guys really need to think about trying to do fertility treatments again. This is your best chance. Your body's quieted down. At that time, there was some research suggesting that pregnancy kind of quieted endometriosis. So he was like, you got to do whatever you got to do. If you need to do IVF, go do it. So we just were like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Like, here we go back to, I called it the office of terror and shots. the fertility office, back for more treatment. And we're like, how are we going to pay for this? Right. Like now I've got this chronic disease that needs its own caretaking and we're already out of money. We already wrote this check for adoption. And thankfully they were so gracious to kind of pull back on that contract with us while we work things out. And so we went back to the fertility center that we were using and signed up for IVF, like not knowing how the Lord was going to provide. And it was within like we started like selling stuff, right? Started selling stuff. We had no insurance. Like back then there was not, so there is some today, but back then there really wasn't. And so it was all out of pocket. And so we started selling stuff. We looked at like, can one of us work at Starbucks? Can one of us like get a different job that might have some benefits? And one day my husband came home with a paper in his hand and he was like, listen, we have benefits. We have an HSA, as we know today, that has all this money in it that I didn't know, like since I started this job, I was contributing to, and it's eligible for fertility treatment.
Wow.
And so God just was like, here, yes, like it's now your turn. It's now time to do this. So we went through with our IVF procedure, our first one, and we got right out the gate, blessed us with a double portion. We were pregnant with twins. So I know, right? Like you put 2 embryos in and you're like, oh, that's anybody that doesn't know the journey is like, oh, you're going to have twins. Well, that's not how it works, right? It's a numbers game. So we were kind of shocked. Like we were like anticipated we would need a couple rounds. And they were happy for us. The fertility center was and said, okay, go back to your same surgeon who did your surgery because he's an obstetrician and he will take care of you. And he was like, this is high risk. Like this is a high risk pregnancy, not just because of IVF, but I also have this on pre-IVF and it's multiple pregnancy. So I actually got taken off of work at 20 weeks. And really learned that the Lord wanted to prepare me for motherhood. Really had to go through some things with my own identity of letting go of my work, my identity as a nurse practitioner, and really shift into a calling as a mother. And so I carried those babies until they were 37 weeks, which is definitely full term for twins. Had them, right, story over, right? We had our boys. We were so happy. Elbow deep in diapers and schedules and sleeplessness. And about a year in, right, when you kind of maybe with twins feel like you're like, I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing. I'm an expert now, right? I realized I hadn't had a period, and I was like, what, what's going on? And my husband was like, just do a pregnancy test, like whatever, like it's gonna give me negative. Like we'd never seen a positive pregnancy test up until that point. And so having been an infertile patient for 4 years, I was like, what's this? Like, this is not reliable peeing on a stick and this is positive. This can't be. Right. And so you call my doctor and he's like, yeah, come in for a blood test. And sure enough, yeah, like I was pregnant on my own, right? Like they talk about once you start getting pregnant, you get pregnant on your own. So we unknowingly brought, our babies and everybody to the office to see this ultrasound. And I remember clear as day sitting on that table and there was a blank hole on the screen and nothing in there. I had a blighted ovum. And so, they just were like, yeah, this happens and so sorry, but it'll pass. You'll be fine. And so, it did not pass. It was complicated. I ended up having a DNC. I didn't pass it for months. It was really traumatic. Yeah. And I was just like, we're done. I don't want to do this ever again. This is terrible. My body was not made clearly to do this, even though it was. And I just couldn't let go of that dream. I couldn't let go of something that I didn't think I could have had been handed to me and felt like it was taken away. And so we were like, you know what, we have more eggs. Let's try another cycle of IVF. We paid the money for the storage. So we went back to the fertility center and did another round of IVF that ended in a chemical pregnancy. And I just was like, yeah, I think we're not supposed to do this anymore. And not only that, like, I think the other thing that was just having, salt in the wounds was the reproductive endocrinologist was like, we think you might have something else going on. And I'm like, besides endometriosis, great. Like, that's not enough. And they were like, yeah, we think you need an autoimmune workup. Like, you could have lupus or something else because you're miscarrying now a lot, more than what we would expect. And so I had that workup done. It was mercifully negative. But we were like, okay, this is not what's supposed to be. This is not where the Lord's leading. And so we had just an extended period of time where we just kind of tried to find our way back to some sort of normal after really all that loss. And then I went on to get pregnant again, naturally. And this time this part, like, I think we don't remember the women who miscarry a lot sometimes, and this guilt that happens around their heart of like, I should have done something. I shouldn't have allowed myself to get pregnant because I know this is the result. So I experienced that. I experienced a huge amount of guilt of like, like your body doesn't know what to do. You should have been on birth control. You shouldn't have allowed this to happen. And we kind of just moved forward, and my OB was like, I'm going to aggressively monitor you. I'm on top of this. Like, this is going to be different. I promise. We just don't know. We've got to carry this through. And so we did. I was on injectable progesterone, everything. We were getting labs like crazy, ultrasounds like crazy, and we started to like think like this actually might happen. We saw, little tiny bleeps on ultrasound. We saw the heart just going, and we were like, this is better than what we've experienced before. And at about 13 weeks, I went in for a regularly scheduled visit, and by myself. My husband had foot surgery the day before. And I sat in that same ultrasound bed, and the wand went on, and we saw a little tiny, not moving body. And I broke. I couldn't handle the thought of I had been that far into the journey, and God would say, nope, not this time either. And so OB came in, looked at the screen, saw things, right, as you're like in this moment of devastation, and was like, it's chromosomal. This looks like a healthy baby otherwise. And I just said, you just have to get it out. Like, I can't pass this. I can't. You have to take it. I have to have a D&C. I cannot go through this again. I cannot have all the complications we had before. And everybody said the things they say, right? And all the things that happened in the office happened. I heard babies crying across the office. I had other pregnant women shuffling past me as I walked out, really feeling devastated and embarrassed to think that I could be pregnant. And it was like in that moment that I was ready to be done. I was ready to be done with faith. I was ready to be done with God. I just could not wrap my mind around how a loving God would allow this to happen. And especially something that I didn't ask for. I didn't ask to get pregnant either of those 2 times when I naturally was. And then to just feel like those babies were just taken. And so I went through a really dark time. I went through a really dark time of soul, and was leading women's Bible studies, expected to continue on as you are in those moments, and was just ready to throw my faith out with everything. I just could not look at the Lord. I could not look at myself. I, went through these studies with women, and I was like, I don't think I believe this anymore. I don't think I can believe this anymore. And just sat in that dark place for a really long time until I was, surrounded by other believers, other women who had walked the path that I'd walked. And some people not believers, right? I'd done some holistic therapy at that time, and really had received some validation from a naturopathic doctor that was like, these are miscarriages, and like, you need to experience this. And that wasn't something that I was necessarily receiving, that kind of care at the reproductive endocrinologist's office. And so I got a book in the mail, and it was from my pastor's wife, and it was Dark Clouds, Deep Mercy. And she was like, Heather, I think you need to read this. And she was sending me scriptures, and she was sending me audio messages of her reading scripture, because she's like, I know you can't read the Bible right now, and so I will read it for you.
Wow.
Because you need to be reminded of God and what his promises are. And if
That's
you
good.
don't, if you aren't, it's going to be easy to feel like you can stray. And so I read that book. And anybody who's read that book knows that Mark Vergo has like such a way about talking about his lament and about how he went through the process of losing his own child. And I finally felt like somebody took words that I couldn't like utter in my soul, that like was groaning in there, but I couldn't have them and put words and put them on a paper in front of me, and said exactly what was in my heart. And I slowly climbed out, right? Kind of through the process of reading that book and having many others pray for me, having my pastor's wife pray for me. I had a lovely group of women that were in a church ministry that I was part of, that like just laid hands on me and prayed over me, and just a lot of permission to say it, Heather. Like, say what you feel, say what your heart is saying about your faith and about God right now. And we will tell you what we've seen and what we know of our Lord, right? But you need to say it. You need to put words to it and lament it, right? And you will find at the end of it that he is the only one that can carry what you need carried. We can do our best as humans to walk alongside you, but he's the only one that can carry you in this moment, even though you want to push him away. And so kind of through the process of like, it was probably a year and a half, we just healed. We spent time with different church members and spent time in creation. You read my book, I do a lot of hikes and nature walks and things, just to really be quiet in my soul. And I started walking along other women that had the same story as I did. I was in a support group, and I just found a lot of solace being around other women that were like-minded with similar stories. And so one of them was like, hey, I think you should reconsider fertility treatment. You still have eggs. And I was like, nope, not doing it. You can't talk me into it. That's trap. That's a bad idea. And so I was like, but you should go. You should do. So my dear friend, I found a fertility group out in New York that was doing treatments at cost. And I sent her out there because she had not done any fertility treatment. And she, brought it to the Lord, and Lord confirmed it. And she ended up having a baby. And so, and I had helped her with some things along the way. And she was like, you need to go. I don't think you're done here. I don't think the Lord is telling you you're done. And so after a lot of prayer and a lot of wrestling, a lot of arguments, a lot of disagreements between my husband and I, we finally really felt like the Lord was saying to us, you need to burn ships. You need to forget what happened before. Like, know that I was there, but I'm asking you to move forward in faith with me on this journey now, kind of in a different journey. You've got to burn your past. You've got to let it go and know that was awful, but I'm still here. I'm still with you, and I never left you. And so we decided 2020, we all cringe. We hear that year, right? That we were going to go ahead and go to New York and do fertility treatments. Well, COVID happened. So I had a lot of stops. And finally, it was determined that New York was going to be open for fertility treatments, much thanks to Dr. Kiltz. And I drove 10 hours. It's a 10-hour drive from Michigan, because you can't go through Canada when the borders closed. And I drove by myself because we couldn't leave our sons here.
Right.
And we both did. So we had eggs frozen. So my husband also had to drive and give his part of the IVF. And then I drove separately, and we did embryo transfer. I had a doctor pray over me. Like, it was the coolest experience that I've had. Like, he did the embryo transfer, and then he said, I want to lay hands on you. I want to pray for you. I want to pray for this baby that we just put in your mom.
Oh, wow.
And he did. And it was incredibly powerful. And even so, right, like, even so that IVF cycle did not work out. I had another chemical pregnancy. But something in me had changed at this point, and I felt like God's hand was on this, and I could grieve, but I could move forward. And so we went forward with our last round of IVF. Actually, all of our eggs at that point had not made it, except for one. And so we had one embryo to transplant and to transfer. And all of us went out this time. My whole family all drove out there, my kids too. And we stayed out there. And that was successful. That was our last embryo, and that is my daughter, Violet. And she's 4 today. Yeah. So this was kind of like, right, I warned you, it's a long journey, right? It's a long story of, 10 plus years of primary infertility, secondary infertility, multiple losses, adoptions that then, never were able to be pursued. But I think like God, like when I look at it now, like I look back at those times and I'm like, I never want to go, like all of us, like both, like all of us here, like I would never go through it again. But I also think to myself, like, there's a story here, right? There's a story that I have that aligns with a lot of other people in different parts of their lives. And if for nothing else, that can be maybe the image of hope for them of like, I'm on
Yes.
the other side. My body is not fixed, right? It's still broken. I still have to deal with my endometriosis. I'm still a bereaved mom, right? Of 4. That's not leaving me this side of heaven. But like God in his goodness through all of these things, when I was like ready to jump off the edge, right? Found me back, restored me back, showed me who he was.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I loved so many parts of that, but I don't even know where to start. Nicole, do you have anything you were going to ask? Because my brain is going everywhere.
Well, I know it just was such an impactful story. I think, the things maybe that I took away was just the fact of just community, and how important that is. And then also the importance of lamenting and telling the Lord, like sharing your true and honest heart with the Lord and how that is okay. I think so many people are just feel as if that they're not allowed to do that, and just like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
can't say that to God." And it's just like, yes, yes, you can, and Heather,
But I
I'm
think that's
just
the
so
thing, like
thankful.
you
Yeah.
are internally probably saying those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like he knows. He's not surprised if
Yes.
you say those things out loud. You saying them out loud is more for yourself than it
Yes.
is for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
That's good. That's very wise counsel. I think my story is not, we have a few similarities, not totally the same as yours, but parts of it are. And I think there's so much power in trusting the Lord enough to take a step back. I think that is one of my biggest takeaways from your story as well. Cause it's like it was painful to like put it on pause, but you trusted him enough, even though you didn't feel like you maybe trusted him in that moment. That was truly trusting he had it and like taking a beat. Cause I think it's with fertility, most of the time women feel like they're on a time crunch. And I was 27, 28 when we were going through treatments. And even I felt that. And I didn't even realize my own timetable. But all of that to say, I think there's such power in trusting him enough to step back, knowing he holds it. It's his timetable, even though we might feel like we need to move our feet faster. He's asking us to just steady our pace and know that he's got it. And I think that's going to be really helpful to someone listening. For sure. You're a tough cookie, girl.
Only by his strength, right?
You're like,
only
I didn't ask to be
because
that
left to
tough
my
cookie.
own, who knows?
I remember telling the Lord, I can do infertility, but I cannot do miscarriage. And then I had a miscarriage and I was like, okay, I can, and we made it through and like we kept going, but I don't know how people do anything without Jesus, but I
Without the Lord,
really don't know how you do infertility without him. Like, woof, you're not going to be okay in your mind if you don't have Jesus in anything,
Because I
but
think you're
especially
just
this.
looking for a blame, especially if things are going wrong. Like
Right.
you can't help but be like, well, it's because the fertility nurse didn't tell me the right whatever, or because I didn't get picked as the adoptive parent, or I didn't like you immediately start pointing fingers when you're not aligned, right? If you have
Yes,
nothing else to point, somebody to look to, you're going to point fingers.
totally. Yep. And I think it's what you said too about like you start to think, what did I do? I remember my first pregnancy that I miscarried at 12 weeks. I fell down twice and the enemy used that so much in my head. And I remember even asking my OB when she came in to tell me that the baby had passed. I was like, was it? She was like, no, Holly. She's like, just stop. this is not like that baby was healthy. This was just not,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. She's like, I don't have an answer for you, but it's not that. And I was like, okay, but the enemy will just use the tiniest thing to be like,
Yes.
oh, it was probably that you ate, or this that you
Mm-hmm.
know, I don't know. So just taking those
Mm-hmm.
thoughts captive and bringing them back to the Lord, because he would not be the one to taunt you in that way. That's totally the enemy.
Well, I think also really, I talk about this a lot in my book. So, before we look at infertility, whether we want to look at it from like a biblical standpoint, or we want to look at it like
Mm.
real world today, there's a real cause for this. It's a broken world, right? Like when we look back to the Garden of
Right.
Eden, we look at those curses that unfortunately were a result of sin. And we see very clearly, right? There's pains in childbirth. And when we start teasing out the words, the Hebrew behind that, we see that it's not just childbirth, it's actually conception. Tim Mackey
Wow.
talks about this with the Bible Project. And the translation on that actually translates better out to it's pains with conception. And so that
Wow.
includes me, that includes you, that includes every wanting parent out there,
Dang.
right? That's not just the childbirth. That went all the way back to Eden. That is not ours to carry. That's
No.
this world's to carry, right? And so we experience that in our groaning, right? That is the groans of this earth and our bodies to say, it is broken. It's not broken on this side. It's broken on this side.
Yeah.
I have never
Heather,
heard that,
that
and
was
that gave me
powerful. I know. I
goosebumps.
was
That
like,
was
I
good.
have never heard that in
Listen,
my
this like
mind.
when this
Just like,
it gets really nerdy in my book because I tease it all out. We look at
Wow.
different translations, but like really, I feel like the Lord was saying to me,
Wow.
this isn't yours to carry, Heather. This isn't your
good.
curse. This isn't your
Yeah.
fault. This was from back then.
Mm.
I'm here to redeem that, and I will. But we can't carry that as women who have gone on this journey. It's not ours to
That is so
carry.
good.
Yes, it's so good. And I'm
Okay.
going to be a big nerd. I'm sorry, really fast,
No.
because I just have to shout out Christy Penn. Christy Penn, I hope you heard that because
My
you are
sweet
going to
mother.
love that so much. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, Heather, thank
She
you for
is gonna
sharing that.
love that.
She's going to
Okay.
love that.
Happy to nerd it out.
My mom will love that. Okay, along the lines of your book, where can these ladies find it? I know you said the title is Barren, but what platform can they find it on?
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon. That's the great news. It's everywhere. Anywhere you can buy books, that's the book should be available to you. But probably the easiest way to get it is going to be through Amazon.
Okay. I'm gonna order one. I need
Yay!
Yes.
it.
Yeah. Heather,
Oh,
just thank you so much for just joining
yes.
us today and just sharing your heart, sharing your story. Really look forward to just continuing to partner with you. You guys, just throwing this out there really quick because this month we are hosting what are we calling it? A bi-month? No. What did we say?
Twice a month.
Okay.
A 2-time-a-monther?
A 2-time-a-monther virtual like support group. And so Heather's going to be leading that. I'll be there.
So good.
We're going to recruit Holly to come and pop on,
Sure.
every once in a
Yay.
while. Angela Mackey will be there as well. But you guys, we just want to
Mhm.
create this like safe environment for you to just
good.
stay connected and be in community and always be pointed
Mhm.
back to the Father. So we're going to put Heather's book in the show notes. We'll put the link to
Yes.
where you can sign up for the support group. But also, I don't have the book, Dark Clouds, Deep Mercy. Did I say it right?
Oh yeah,
But
I need
yes,
that
we're
Yeah,
going to
too.
you
put
got
that
it.
in the link
Yep.
because that book is just phenomenal. And so we want you guys to pick up that book as well. But
Mhm. Mhm.
Love it.
Heather,
I love it
yes,
so
yeah.
much.
Heather, we are so grateful for you. You guys, and we're going to see you next time on the Purpose Beyond Motherhood podcast.
Woohoo!